where I'm going with this is I think it is important if you are a pilot, a professional pilot especially today, to read about how it was done back in the day.
Okay.
To try and glean some appreciation from how far we've come.
This is the 21.5 Show.
You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
Whether you're a professional pilot or want to be one, you're in the right place.
Let's get started.
Join professional aviators Dylan and Max as they talk their experience in the airlines, business aviation, and more.
Life is good.
Industry experts, unique stories, and plenty of fun. This is the 21.5 Show.
Here we go.
Okay, you've done it. You've tuned in to another episode of the 21.5 Show, the show for professional pilots by professional pilots. If you're new here, hello, my name is Dylan, a professional pilot in business aviation. Max is throwing his hands up.
I had something I was going to write down to talk about. No, and then you distracted me. Now I forgot.
It was such an incredible open. I just captivated you.
I know. It just sucked me right out of what I was doing. Anyway, where were we? I'm Max. I'm a professional pilot. Yeah. That about sums it up.
That sums it up. Okay.
That's it. That's all you need to know.
What's going on? I have a question for you. Have you flown all three of the types of airplanes that you fly in the last 7 days?
Yes.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Thank you. I don't.
Congrats. Okay, that's it. We'll put that one to bed.
Yes. Regard me.
Regarding.
Yeah. We just went. My wife and I just went on a lovers cub trip today. Just window open.
Yeah.
My wife's hair in the breeze. Much
Perfect.
to her chagrin.
I love it.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, it was awesome, man. It's fun.
I've seen some
just
videos.
having a good time. Flying low, flying slow. Perfect day out. Not a cloud in the sky. 77 degrees or something. It was awesome. It's fun.
Excellent. Good. I was also flying today, but at a higher altitude and not slow.
Oh, right.
And spectacular. I was just marveling at how quiet it is on center now with CPDLC en route. It's like the transmissions have cut in half once you're in the flyover states.
Yeah, but when are we going to get rid of this checking on?
I know.
Not hoot nanny. We got to go to. Actually, it's got to go to monitor Albuquerque Center on 12845.
Yeah, I think it's coming.
It's coming. It's a thing. Remember, I learned it in my CPDLC training as required by the LOA.
That's right. It's coming. What other updates do I have for you? More Starlink updates. So, are you ready for this? I need a second to pull this up.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, I can talk about, dude, we get this thing at Southwest the other day, a read before fly, they call it. You got to read it and to verify you've read it before you go fly every trip. And we just got approved to do GLS approaches. Are you familiar with the GLS?
Yeah, I believe that's glow-in-the-dark landing system, right?
Yeah, kind of.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of like an ILS, but it uses GBAS, like GPS, and so you don't have all the sighting issues and stuff, but it's the same. You still tune a localizer frequency.
Really?
Yeah, there's only one right now at the airports we fly to, which is San Francisco, but they're coming, and it's pretty interesting because normally you would expect you'd have to have training and all this stuff, right? They're like, nope, here's a new approach. The airplane is capable, and no further training is required on part of the pilot. So good luck. I mean, essentially, though, it's an ILS, right? It's just a.
So I don't get it. You're still using the VHF frequencies?
No. You select a 5-digit channel number rather than an ILS frequency.
Okay.
So, and then essentially it's an ILS. So
a GBAS ground. Oh, okay. So basically, it's like Oh, wasn't this? Did they call this system LOS back in the day? Local area augmentation versus the.
Yeah, well, so what one's wide area augmentation system, right? And that was just the update to make GPS more accurate everywhere. And then LOS requires a ground-based transmitter.
And that's what that's what GBAS is approaches.
Also. Right. So but LPV does not use.
Correct. Yeah, LPV is different.
LOS.
And this is ground-based augmentation system, so there's a ground-based transmitter. Provides a highly accurate 3-dimensional navigation guidance for alignment and descent during landing, similar to a traditional ILS, but with greater flexibility and fewer equipment requirements.
So essentially, I think this would just be like an ILS replacement, right? Because the benefit too is you don't have sighting issues, like that ILS in the Orange County that starts getting a little wacky, or like Monterey, you can't have the autopilot coupled below whatever feet because of the sighting situation, or people taxing, not holding short of the ILS critical area constantly, so then you get funky stuff, which I think is actually the problem in Orange County, but
often meets ICAO Cat 1 requirements, often achieving position errors of less than 1 meter.
Wait, so can you do Cat 3 with that?
This is just kind of what I'm reading off of a couple internet things. We might have to do a deeper dive into this. Maybe this
we can't just do real-time research via the internet on the show.
Yeah. Soon we're just going to have a AI guest that'll be like our producer that like pops in and he'll be like, actually,
you idiots.
GLS is operational at over 100 airports worldwide.
I know.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to learn more about this.
Yeah.
And then we'll report back.
I thought that it's just weird. Like you show up to work and read a 2-page document. You're like, oh, I guess I can fly that now.
So you load the.
What a world.
It's a selectable, like when you're loading the approach in the box. That's when you select your GLS.
Well, no, you tune. So the 737 does not have auto tune.
Got it.
If that helps clarify, so you still have to manually tune. So you're manually tuning.
I see.
The 5-digit channel or whatever. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, that was our half-baked research. There probably don't take any of that to the bank. I would say it would be the safest thing. But interesting. I didn't really know anything about that. So thank you for.
Yeah, no problem, Dylan. I'm always happy to broaden your aviation horizons.
Let me broaden your aviation horizon. As you know, we've been talking about Starlink lately. I've been testing it in the airplane, and they've come out with a couple of new plans. And these are in the business side. And so they've got a couple of different options, the local priority and the mobile priority.
Global priority.
The global priority, I'm sorry. The local priority starts at $65 a month, and you can now go up to 350 miles an hour with it. So I think that almost worked for a PC-12.
Oh, so that's the difference between local and global is just
global priority goes up to 550 miles an hour. Global priority is at $250 a month.
Wow. But even still, wasn't 50 gigs like $2,000 before or something?
20 gigs is $2,000 for the aviation plan, which is unlimited speed, which is what we're using. So
what's that in knots?
550 miles an hour is about, I think I did the math. It's like 470 knots. It's just borderline for our airplanes.
It's going to all depend, because I think normally like 460 is like a true airspeed for like Mach 8.0, right?
Yeah, so any sort of tailwind. Yeah, it's 477 knots. So any type of tailwind.
Well, 70 knots, dude. 477, so 480 knots. You got 70 knots of tailwind to play with. That's not too bad. In summertime, 70? You should be good.
You think you're doing 400? It's ground speed though.
That's what I'm saying. Well, you said 550 miles an hour is 480 knots roughly.
Right.
Right? Oh, wait. Oh, never mind. So you have like 20. You have like 20 knots.
Right.
Tailwind to play with.
So it's like it'd work like half the time.
That Elon Musk, very smart. He's
he knows.
Very smart.
He looked. He goes, let's let's cap this right at about Mach 7.8, 7.9.
Yeah, that decision is probably made while he's sitting in the back of his 650.
Yeah.
You just walked.
How fast are we going right
guys,
now?
How fast are we going? Can I get that in miles an hour, please?
Yeah. So very interesting. So I know I'm just seeing tons of people on Facebook testing this stuff. So I mean, yeah, but
how would they change it? Like what?
Here's the other. This is the other thing with Starlink. They are notorious for changing their plans. It's crazy. They'll be like, "Oh, it's this. Now it's this. Now it's Roam program. Now it's this program." So it's like, if you're doing the full STC, like, and you're going on the full aviation plan, I mean, I think it is what it is. If you're kind of going to try this Roam antenna, and guys are putting those in. Dude, did you see in our MU2 group?
Yeah.
Some guy had it
slapped to the side of the window.
Slapped it on the side of the window, and he's like, "This is great." I'm like, I couldn't want this airplane anymore.
I know. Just when you thought it couldn't get any cooler.
But I mean, think about that. Think about if every PC-12 can get Starlink for $65 a month.
I know. Things are. I would have liked to hear when the CEO of GoGo read that.
I mean, that's just gonna
not again.
It's gonna crush all the connectivity.
I know. It's wild
out there. So this is going to be very interesting. Our director of maintenance, when I talked to him the other day, he said, "Look, when you're planning on he goes, Wi-Fi, he goes, this is you budget for 4 years, plan for the next 4 years, do the install, and then at the end of the 4 years, you're probably just going to have to do the next system or whatever. Like at this point, it's just changing so fast.
Do Starlink. It's a no-brainer,
right?"
Because Starlink ain't going anywhere.
But
we spent years putting hundreds of satellites in. You're not just going to.
Oh yeah, for sure. But what's going to happen is there's right now it's Starlink Aviation antenna version 1, which is huge and ugly, and then next
plus,
year.
Don't you have Amazon launching a competing system soon? And
right. Yeah. So there'll be other options, but I'm just saying there'll be a new
west
antenna.
Of the internet.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it really is. It's like
incredible.
It is. I mean, it kind of reminds me of, your cousin was sort of in this world for a while, like the cell phone business, with like all these retail cell phone shops, and just like, remember that when cell phones just started coming out, and it was just like the market had to figure itself out. They're like, oh, the phone iterations were happening so quick, and the technology kept changing, and it's crazy. It's
interesting, dude. Just everything has come such a long way. So what I was telling you about, I've mentioned this in the show before. I read this book called The Long Way Home, where they were in a Boeing flying boat, a Pan Am Clipper, when not when World War II broke out, but when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor, and these guys were in Auckland, New Zealand. So geographically, they couldn't go back the way they came across the Pacific. They had to go the long way. So like from Australia up like through like Indonesia and India and across the Middle East. Dude, they had to jump across sub-Saharan Africa. So across the African continent in a flying boat. Like you have to take off from the ocean on one side and hope you make it all the way to the ocean on the other side, and then across from there to South America, and then up South America to New York. Right? It took them like 6 weeks. And it's just, dude, you read about that, So this is in the 40s, right? And we're sitting here talking about how to get the cheapest global internet plan. And I was talking to the captain I was flying with. So I just reread the book.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I didn't have a book downloaded, and I just went through my Kindle library. I'm like, I read that, the other book, Sky Gods, the Pan Am thing. And so I was just kind of on this Pan Am kick for whatever reason. So I reread that book. And dude, it's just, it's hard sometimes when you're sitting there and you're cruising along and going direct to some point, hundreds of miles away, and CPDLC's going, and you're eating your lunch, and you're just like, and these guys,
and like if you looked over at the other pilot and you're like, what state do you think we're over right now?
Yeah,
like they'd be like,
right. And these guys were flying. It took them 20 something hours to get to Hawaii. Like they're flying at 8,000 feet, like all the way down to like 500 feet off the water, because they would descend below the cloud layer and stuff, like in the weather, and like. And trying to shoot stars and try to hit these islands out there that, like, if you miss, that's it. Like you're done. That's it. There's no just like freshening up your direct.
Yeah, exactly. Give me a redirect.
Your direct element. I mean, these guys, and it's just it makes you feel like much less of an aviator when you read about what these dudes were up to, and then you like think about what we're doing now, and it's just like,
well, it kind of ties back to the conversation we had with James in the last episode. Remember, it's like, well, there's satisfaction in the struggle, in a way,
right?
And it is the same way. I mean, because it's funny because like you look back, like I look back in my career, like, oh, what was the funnest airplane? Like the King Air, the Saab 340, like the airplanes you had to really work to fly are the ones you always will look back at with the most fondness.
But you know what else is cool that you don't think about is like so we talk about our crew of you and the other pilot. Like back then, dude, you were going so far. You had multiple flying crew members, right? Then you had flight engineers, navigators, radio operators. Like you had it was like a whole team that was just flying the airplane, like not even counting the cabin crew.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. Like these guys, I don't know. It was more like, playing tennis versus playing baseball. Like you literally had a full team of mostly guys or all guys, I think in that day, that would everybody had their part and everybody had to do their part or
right.
The whole.
If you didn't move that fuel from that one tank to the other tank,
it's insane. It's insane. And like the performance of these things when he had it loaded down, like they're trying to take off this river and they like barely getting ground effect. And it's like a waterfall at the end and they kind of go and they sink off the end of it and they're flying down this canyon trying to climb and they can't climb. It's just you're just like, dude. And even today I thought about it for a minute. I'm flying around in this, my Cub, quote unquote, but it is like so far gone from what Cub started out as. I've got like all these screens and it's terrain. It's telling me about terrain everywhere and yelling at me and there's traffic and the weather. And it's just, like, I don't know. It's just funny. We've come so far and it's like, but part of me wishes to be back in the, when it was
that's why you have the Cub.
It was kind of dangerous,
Yeah. You
wanted the Cub. You want to
do
a
dangerous.
I got XM radio. Like, what am I?
So you're saying you want to do? So do you want to do a mission with Roger Reeves or your boy Vern?
No, dude. I think the ship
those?
Sailed. What are you gonna do? Just take off and try and celestial navigate to Hawaii? Like, you just look like an idiot. But
it would be kind of interesting.
It's just one of those things. You look back and sometimes I think it's where I'm going with this is I think it is important if you are a pilot, a professional pilot, especially today, to read about how it was done back in the day.
Okay.
To try and glean some appreciation from how far we've come. Because we all read about, like Charles Lindbergh and stuff, but these were airline pilots. Like that's how it was back then. And you would pack your stuff and you would leave for 2 weeks and you'd fly 1 million stops to New Zealand and then turn around and do it again. And like, it was no joke.
Danger zone.
Yeah, literally. Dude,
so we sound like old, the younger listeners are just gonna be like, yeah, okay, I get it. You walked up.
Yeah, listen, you'll be there. All right, pal.
Okay, this is how old we are.
Yeah, I see you rolling your eyes.
I have breaking news. This is how old Max and I are. Last week, an aircraft that Max flew full time and I flew several times was inducted into the Pima Air and Space Museum. So now anytime we take our children there, we can point to an airplane and actually say, I flew that airplane.
Yeah, back in the day.
So
I'm going there in the next couple of weeks.
Are you?
Yeah, I have Tucson. I have Tucson overnights, a couple this month, and I get in at like 11 a.m. So my wife's going to come down.
Fly the Cub down?
Oh, no. Give me some tissues while we look at old 6'4" Victor Mike.
Max will be signing autographs in front of the aircraft and posing with pictures.
Toto gratis.
He'll be doing a historical talk at 11:30 a.m. at the nose of...
This actually started out as a diamond jet,
yeah.
And Beechcraft purchased the type certificate.
Mm-hmm.
So this was shipped over in a box and
serial number 1.
San Angelo, Texas, as Beechjet serial number 1.
RJ, RK.
We did not have thrust reversers on this airplane. We used to go into high altitude airports in the wintertime. It was almost like the Clipper pilots of the bygone era.
You would just go to this whole lesson.
It was almost the same level of danger.
Meanwhile, every kid in there eyes will just roll back, going, "All right."
This was before EMAS.
Yeah,
nothing stopping you from getting sent off the cliff.
Fortunately, the beach jet did feature backup nitrogen-powered brakes, so I mean, you had a second system.
Did it break the safety wire? If I believe.
All right, enough rambling. Yeah.
What else? One more thing in the Cub.
Okay.
Our friend Sean, who flies at Southwest with me and was a college roommate. We've known him from college. We went out flying the other day, just he and I, and he has a Rans S7, another STOL kind of airplane.
Yep.
And we went cruising around, and he popped my off-airport cherry.
Okay.
First time I've ever landed at not a dirt strip, but just it was in the middle of the desert.
Okay.
It's kind of a thing.
I saw the video. It was very impressive.
It's I don't know. It's different, that's for sure. But yeah, it was that's a whole thing. And we, the disclaimer, it was on BLM land. This was 100% legal.
Yes.
And it definitely, reaffirmed the fact that I need bigger tires on the Cub. So that is in the works.
I love it. All right, let's dive into the show. Lots to get to today. Reviews and comments. Of course, we'd love to hear your feedback. We'll dive into some YouTube stuff. We'll dive into some reviews on Apple Podcasts. If you leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, we'd love to send you a sticker. You can shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com with your mailing address, and we'll shoot those out. I've got a few going out this week to some listeners that have left reviews. Max, do you want to read the first one here?
Yes. Keybird is the best episode ever. I wonder if he's listened to all the episodes.
Boom.
Can speak to that with have listened to all the episodes. Always a good laugh. Just listen to episode 161 about the Keybird recovery and was just rolling over all of Vernon Rich's stories. Could not believe all the problems they overcame, let alone the extra lives Vernon used on that expedition. That's from Brad.
There you go.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Okay. A couple YouTube comments. First one's from James.
Oh, wait. Well, hold on. I forgot to tell you this. So Vernon called me after the episode came out. I told you this. And he goes, yeah, I just wanted you to know, I guess, he had people that he hadn't talked to in, 20 or 30 years or whatever calling him. One was like a British Airways captain that obviously lives in the UK, had heard it. And he was like, Vernon, and a couple other people came out of the woodwork, but it was funny just that he called.
So awesome.
Every time, yeah. When he tells the story, and some goes out widespread, he gets calls from people he hadn't talked to forever. So that's
awesome.
It's good. That's how you keep those stories alive.
That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen to us. All our pilot buddies are going to be at the Pima Air and Space Museum. See that airplane
we'll
and
sitting there.
I saw that thing. No thrust reversers. Can you believe it?
On our 64 Victor Mike stories.
Anyway. All right. A couple comments from YouTube. James dropped one. He says, a few years ago, this 20-something-year-old captain at British Airways got bored and quit. He felt unfulfilled or something. Can't be so quick to get to the top without a little struggle, or you won't appreciate it once you get here. Okay. And that was in reference to our conversation with James O'Neill on the last episode. And then we have a differing opinion here.
Suffering to get a decent job is not, quote, worth the hardship. I don't even know how to take that.
I mean, the problem is that all of this is just so subjective. Like, what's the amount of suffering? What is the hard? What is a decent job?
I think a decent job. It's all.
Yeah.
If the job is only decent to you, then I guess you make a valid point.
It's like, are you guys watching White Lotus right now?
Oh yeah. As soon as my wife has it queued up and paused as soon as we're done recording.
So remember a couple episodes. I don't want to spoil anything, but the wife from North Carolina, she goes, "I'm just not meant to live an uncomfortable life at this age."
Yeah.
She said that's kind of what it reminds me of. It's just not worth the hardship at this point.
I love that.
So,
I love that.
Okay. Last comment comes from Dan Buffington. He said, I really love this episode. He's referencing the James O'Neill interview. Good stuff. Things are more like they are now than they have ever been. And that's a quote from somebody famous. I think it's Yogi Berra, if I had to guess. So good feedback on our interview with James. I think there's some more in the mailbag about it. Yeah, that's going to do it. Thanks for all the comments on YouTube and the reviews. Love to send you a sticker if you write us a review. Okay, Max, are you ready for the mailbag?
Yeah, hit me.
Okay. I am excited to bring it to you. Of course, you know who brings us the mailbag. It's Advanced Aircrew Academy, our longtime partner and sponsor of the show. Aircrewacademy.com has their website with all of their great resources for professional pilots. I love to read their blog. And I just learned that Advanced Aircrew Academy has joined the National Pause for General Aviation Safety program, which is out right now, and they're actually offering a complimentary training course.
Yeah, that's some of the ones that we have robustly featured on the show. Runway excursion prevention, runway incursion prevention, crew resource management, effective monitoring, and controlled flight into terrain.
That's pretty cool. Those are all really great programs. You've heard us talk about the way they write the modules is excellent. It's written by professional pilots for pilots. It is not boring. It's entertaining. You're going to enjoy it. We'll have a link in the show notes to this blog post, and you can see how you can get your free course. All right. Why don't you go ahead with email number 1?
Hi, Max and Dylan. Whilst packing away my military uniform for likely the last time, I looked inside my hat and saw the stickers I used to make sure I knew it was my hat. The most recent sticker was one from your show a friend gave me after I introduced him to you guys. Having listened to the show since the Roger Reeves episodes, I've just transitioned from the Royal Air Force to a UK low-cost airline flying the 737, not Ryanair. Even though the show is very U.S. aviation focused, I really enjoy the insight it gives and helped open my eyes to the opportunity of civilian flying in the UK and beyond. Keep up this good work. This podcast slaps. And that is from Rich.
Thank you, Rich. He sent us a really cool picture of the sticker inside the hat. Love to see the stickers inside the hat. We're used to, here in the United States, Rich, it's all pictures of boats, typically, inside the hat. When the captain takes his hat off, he goes, oh, let me show. Or like some type of remodel project that they're working on.
I flew with a boat captain this week.
Yeah?
Yeah. He had it was the wallpaper on his iPad. It's RI 245 Centurion.
That's a sick boat.
I
might have that on my.
I said, "What year is that?" And he goes, "It was a 24. It's probably not the wisest financial decision I've ever made."
We are recording today on April 6th. Potentially April 7th might be a terrible day in the financial markets. Just FYI, to provide a little context for anyone that's listening to this, maybe a few years out. Yeah.
Hey, listen, it's only money, Dylan. You can always make more.
That's right. We can always make more. Next email says, love the Martin Mars stuff. Saw Kermit flying this thing into Oshkosh in 94.
That's awesome.
Posted a YouTube link. What's up with these kids who today choose a flying career as a business decision? I dreamt about being an airline pilot for Northwest Orient practically when I was still in the womb. My business decision in my 20s was making 6 figures at IBM versus paying for my EMB 120 type rating and then making $12,500 per year at Comair. I know it was the correct decision, but it still hurts. Heard recently about a kid who, during his CFI oral, had never heard of a spark plug, ... That's from Cliff. And then Cliff actually sent us a second email follow-up. He said he listened to episode 151 today, which is when we talked to Derek Javi with Paradox Aviation. And he said, just sent this message to Derek. Dude, listen to you and the guys on 21.5 today. I am an old man, CFII, and frequent business traveler. I am so ordering one of your bad effing ass 4-wheel rollerboards. Will replace the ballistic nylon Travel Pro, which makes everyone think I'm an off-duty flight attendant. My wife will see it and ask how much it cost. I will reply, it has cost getting my travel dignity.
Getting back my travel dignity.
Yes, I screwed that one up. Yes.
That's suitcases. I get so many comments on that whole setup. Everyone's like, what is this? I literally see people turn their heads. It's hilarious.
You keep saying you'll do a video for us, but I need like a full walkthrough with that because I just feel like we haven't really seen that flight case attach, and I want to see that.
You know, this pains me.
I know.
to do these selfie videos.
What's up? How about you have one of your 12 or 14-year-old kids do it?
At my house, just like getting ready to leave. That's even worse, dude. That's like
no.
starting shirtless.
They go
like
through
one
it.
Of those. Oh, have them go.
Yeah, just have them go through the whole thing.
What's up, guys? It's 4 a.m. I'm getting up for a 5:30 a.m. show.
Got to get
I
that
just got
smoothie.
the steam shower going because I got to shave it clean for the trip. Just going to rip out a couple of push-ups for the pump before my wife wakes up. I'm getting... The steam really opens my pores up, kind of gets me ready to slip the surly bonds. Here we go. What's
Let's
up, guys?
do it.
I'm here loading up the car. This is my all-aluminum
5:18, loading up the car. Show times at 6:05.
Checking the traffic.
Let's
got
do
a
it.
fresh cup of coffee.
Yeah.
We're hitting the road.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm entering the the East Economy parking lot. I'm at the big airline now, so I'm parking in the covered. You know how it is.
Do you know how we do? Got to park the Audi under the cover.
I do not drive an Audi.
Always the Audi.
Let's just
I know.
Make that clear.
Well, here the great news is, Max, your great impersonation of these videos has now earned us the reputation of getting every single one of them sent to our Instagram account by all of our listeners.
I know, but
so anytime somebody posts one of these, 9 people send it to us, and then it's hilarious. So
I think we should pick one of the best ones, and every week, and then we'll repost it and then solicit for the best quote.
Oh, they're all the same though. All it is, listen to them next time. All those guys ever say is the time of day it is, where their destination is, or like what they're eating or what they're drinking. That's it. Or their workout.
Dude,
that's it.
But here's the thing.
That's the entire.
You have to lose
on our
faith
way
in
down
humanity.
to Miami, 2 hours and 7 minutes. Let's get after it. And then that's it. You're like, okay.
People wouldn't cook meth if people didn't smoke it. You know, it's the same thing.
Yeah,
like
I get
people are obviously looking at these videos and liking them and engaging, and it's like that. Who are those people? That's what I want to know.
I don't think they're pros. That's my guess. It's people.
Is there any other like is the guy that drives a snowplow? He'll be like, "Yo, it's 4 a.m. I got my lunch packed," and I'm like,
if he's monetizing his account, maybe.
All right.
Who knows?
Get me all spooled up.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on.
So let's go.
All right. You're next.
Hi, fellas. Me and the missus, if she happens to be reading this, just left a review on Apple Driver 3361. Apparently, old truck number from 2012. Not really a flight advice question, but how does one get to network, especially an introvert? I hear just go to the local airport and talk to pilots, but the airports here in Mesa, Falcon Field, all have 24/7 access control, just short of walking through the terminal and dodging your way to the hangars. It's almost uninviting. I'm part of a flying club there and try to meet the members, but logistics makes that difficult. Just my background for your reference. I just earned my private pilot in December, looking to make a career as a pilot after 22 years of trucking. Ultimate goal would be an ACMI like Atlas, but anyone who would want to bring me on, I'm good with. Not chasing big money, never worked out. I ended up 3 steps back. As long as bills are paid and different experiences to be had, I'm good. Wife and kids have put up with the OTR schedules. What does that stand for? Over the road? Yeah, over the road schedules for 15 and 9 years, respectively. So it's not a huge change, but more quality time is top of the list. Take care, Scott.
Okay, this is really interesting, and this ties into another comment we got on Spotify. And they're different, but they're similar. It says, here's a question for y'all. What if you are the boring co-pilot? I'm very introverted, and while I understand small talk is a way to find common ground, it doesn't make it any less miserable to repeatedly ask the same questions every tour. Most days after we finish, I'm a slam clicker, but would rather be alone to have time to decompress and relax before the next duty block. But I need help with the time I am working with guys anywhere between 10 to 30 years my senior. These aren't exactly the same question, but I did detect a little bit of a theme there. Like, a lot of pilots are introverts, and networking does not come naturally to them. And I know the other comment wasn't exactly about networking, but it's the communicating, the small talk, the network. Like, it's all kind of related, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, sure.
So anyways, that may be not a relevant tangent for this.
But, go ahead. What?
Well, I'm just saying that I'm just detecting a trend of some people saying, "Hey,
I feel like Kill Tony right now. I'm about to give you the.
Yeah, you're just ready to just launch. Those are different things.
No, what's the sound effect he plays when you go up to the minute?
Oh, the wolf. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And then what's the if you go all the way over?
No, it's the meow first, and then
meow,
the wolf,
and then
yeah, that's the warning. Yeah, you should have played the meow.
Start roaring.
Yeah. All right. Sorry, I was trying to tie two things together. It didn't work out. I'm sorry. Let's get back to Scott's original question here. Networking at the airport. This is tough.
I feel like that's old school. Like I feel like now it's LinkedIn.
There is some LinkedIn. But like, if you want to do the LinkedIn thing, you can, but you can't. You need to know. You have to have a strategy. You can't just like try and connect with somebody and just like that's it. Like there has to be. You have to know how to strike up a conversation. James is really good. He used to teach a LinkedIn course on how to do this. Like you can't just like try and connect and then that's it. And that's not going to get you anywhere.
Yeah,
like you have to have. LinkedIn is a good tool if you know what you're doing and you know how to use it successfully. But I think Scott, in your situation where you're at the airport, but you're trying to kind of talk to people, it is tough. I get exactly what you're saying. To just for a lot of people to just go up and start shooting the breeze can be tricky. In my opinion, if it's possible, the easiest way to do this is to start working a job at the airport where you're interfacing publicly with the pilots. Maybe that means you're working on a fuel truck. Maybe that means you're working at the front desk at the flight school, or at the front desk at the FBO or something like that. But to me, can be a good way to kind of break the ice a little bit. But it's like there's no pressure there because you're not like trying to meet someone one-on-one like that.
Well, and another way too, like in our local area, we have something called the Arizona Business Aviation Association, and we have meetings, and a lot of people there you think would be business aviation pilots, which they are, but a lot of them too are flight instructors and people looking to meet pilots that are a level higher and make that connection. So you're in Arizona, you can come to look that up. Come to the AZBA stuff.
Absolutely. Max and I attend at least once a year. Or Max, Max
the parties in the golf tournament. So I have a representative from my flight department that handles.
Yes, exactly.
Those things now.
So I would say, it is tough. I get it. Like it's hard to just wander around the airport and like strike up conversation. Those a little tricky. So any type of forward facing job like that, or start to get involved in some of these groups. Another great thing is volunteering. We used to have a group called Sky Kids. A lot of people would volunteer for that. There's a new group that's similar to that helps mentally and physically challenged kids by taking them on airplane rides. They have those all over the valley several times a year. Things like that where you're bound to meet people that are sort of in the business, and volunteering is another really good way to get plugged in. But it's not easy, especially if it doesn't come naturally to you. Max, have you ever read any of those, like The Art of Making Conversation, or any of those kind of books?
No,
I've never really done that.
I honed my conversation starting skills mostly in college.
What's up, guys?
On the Whiskey Row.
Yeah, exactly. Seriously though,
How you doing?
Yeah, but there's things that you and I take for granted.
For sure.
That a lot of people don't have. And so if anyone's got any good resources on that kind of stuff, and I think that goes back to the other comment that I read of, like, when you're flying and you're a slam clicker and you're an introvert and you're stuck flying with somebody and you're not really somebody that likes to talk a lot, that's a tough one.
Especially when you're with somebody that can't read the room.
Right. Which, like, just it's incredible how often that is.
So where'd you grow up?
Yeah.
So where?
Ohio. Just like if the person you're flying with is giving you one-word answers, that's probably a good sign that it's like.
Or didn't you talk about one time the business card?
Oh yeah, the guy that handed out the card is like, "I'm reading my book. Leave me alone."
No,
California.
Wasn't it like married, 2 kids?
Yeah, exactly.
Lives in the West Valley.
Yeah,
whatever.
And all this stuff. Yeah. No, it's not that expensive. No, I didn't go to Embry-Riddle. Like all the answers. It was so funny. Yeah, but that's like. That type of person's just like, I don't even want to like start a relationship, So I guess it just depends on where you want to go. But if anyone's got any good tips for our listeners on at least having a little bit of the ability to create a little bit of small talk, find a nice little balance. Let us know for sure. Okay, next email says, hey, Max and Dylan, great job on the show. In the new year, a few things. The Starlink Mini Roam was a great idea for having Wi-Fi in a light aircraft. I got the setup in my personal plane and then found out that Starlink now disables the service once you go faster than 100 miles per hour ground speed. Not going to do slow flight on a cross country just to have Wi-Fi. Great idea, but not so practical anymore. Second, with regards to checking in via voice with ATC before acknowledging CPDLC, I was not able to find a definite definition. But from the CPDLC section of the AIM, it would seem like you should acknowledge the CPDLC message, then check in via voice with the new controller, not the other way around. Finally, a follow-up to a previous email to you all that you read on the show. Max, how can you be an AMer in the SWA Luke Waffa Squadron and not know what V/R stands for? Q2 with remarks. Just kidding. The show slaps, guys. Keep up the great work. And that's from Kevin.
Do you get that?
I don't know what the Q2 with remarks is.
Oh, no. Yeah, me neither. But
yes, I get the rest of it.
Now he's probably going to chastise me again on a subsequent email. Very respectfully. I get it. I'm sorry. I had a minor.
What do they say at Southwest? There's like 6 domiciles and 1 air wing or something.
No, I haven't heard that. That's funny though.
What?
No.
Oh yeah, I've heard.
I mean, that whole thing. It's. I think what's interesting. I think I'm flying with a former Luke guy coming up, but all the ones that made that famous that were a little rough, I think have since retired, or I've never flown with one in my almost 6 years there. So
if you don't know what we're talking about, Luke Air Force Base is the big Air Force base in Phoenix, and there were at a lot.
Well, it's a lot of one point. Guys that went there and then like, oh, this is a pretty good place, and then they, then they never left. So.
Pioneers. Great taste.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Been a listener for a year now when I discovered your podcast from Facebook posting, and I love it. Best aviation podcast going where it's not a sleepy, monotone voice that makes me close my eyes while driving. Real entertaining. I've been flying 135-91 gigs the last 30 years, and I'm involved in PC flight sims as well as attempting to build a YouTube channel on sims. I currently fly Latitude. Keep up the good work. Fly safe. Peter. Oh, the question, if you ever need info on flight sim and need a geek out piece, let me know.
Maybe we need to connect Peter with James after last week's big flight sim
James
reveal.
And the flux capacitor computer he has going there.
Dude, today I saw a guy post a picture online of his 777 cockpit at his house that literally looked like a sim at the training center.
Well, it's like
it was alarming.
The MH370 captain had some crazy airliners.
And then that got me down this rabbit hole of this whole throttle company that makes throttle boxes for different airplanes for sims. Have you seen that?
No.
It's unbelievable. They're so realistic. Like most airliners. It was incredible.
How funny is that, dude?
Yeah. It's amazing. Okay. Anything else for you want me to go on any more tangents before we?
No, go ahead. Just keep the momentum up. There's another one. Yeah.
Okay, that's going to do it for the mailbag. Thanks again to Advanced Aircrew Academy for their longtime partnership. Up next, the main event. Flight Advice, which is, of course, brought to you by Harvey Watt, our partners in protecting pilots. Your medical is very valuable, Max. You wouldn't think so the way that most pilots treat it. Fold it up. Let me ask you, how do you usually store your medical? Do you fold it?
Yep, I do.
In
fold
thirds?
it and so it fits into my wallet.
Yeah, exactly.
Right behind my certificate.
Exactly. It's crazy what we do with that little piece of paper that's so valuable. Without it, we ain't making any money.
It's done.
It's done. There is a way to protect that income and your family. It's with a loss of medical insurance product from Harvey Watt. If you visit their website, harveywatt.com, you can get all the information. They have the little calculator. You can put in all your information and give you an idea of what your premiums are. If you're at the airlines, you're probably getting some sort of coverage from them, but you may need to supplement it. If you're in business aviation, it's happening more and more. We're seeing more and more operators are offering this to their employees. Be a good time. Well, maybe not tomorrow. Maybe not April 7th. Maybe don't hit them up for the coverage. But shortly after that, next time you're negotiating your compensation package, definitely worth taking a look at. All right, Max.
All right.
On our way into flight advice. Why don't you read this to me?
I'm a 22-year-old first officer at a regional airline, and I love this job. To even call it a job sounds weird to me. I don't have any plans to stop flying. However, with technological advancements and the frequent talk of single pilot or no pilot operations, I fear my career won't be as bright as I've seen in other pilots who have been in the industry longer and older than me. 2 questions I want your guys' expertise on. 1, when do you predict airlines will drop to single pilot operations? Do you think airlines will ever drop it to 0 pilot operations? Will single pilot operations hit Part 135 first or Part 121 first? And 2, I have a bachelor's degree in aviation management. If I were to lose my pilot job or my career as a pilot isn't as financially rewarding or quality of life rewarding as I've seen in more senior pilots, what other well-paying good jobs could I pursue with a bachelor's degree in aviation management? Tony. All right. So, number 1, who knows? No, there's just no way to predict that. Obviously, that is underway. Looking at Airbus, and they're currently designing a single.
I just got an Aircrew news alert that
good.
I screenshotted because I knew we were going to be talking about this. Here it is: single pilot operations update. European lawmakers are drafting legislation to permit single pilot operations during cruise flight, targeting implementation by 2030. This marks a significant shift in the airline industry. There is an increasing likelihood that mainline flights to North America and beyond will be operated with single-pilot cruise operations well within most pilots' careers. While the U.S. may initially resist such changes, industry experts warn that the cost advantage for European carriers will likely pressure U.S. airlines to push for similar regulations. The adoption of single-pilot cruise is also expected to pave the way for more widespread single-pilot operations in other phases of flight. Some argue that insurers may be hesitant to cover single pilot operations, but others point to studies suggesting that potential cost savings would outweigh any increase in premiums. Pilots concerned about this shift are encouraged to support their union's political action committees and organizations like ALPA. So
as far as things are certainly moving in that department, but if you ever think the airlines will ever drop 0 pilot operations and will single pilot operations hit 130 or 121, I don't know. One day, we'll have no pilot operations. I mean, case in point, Waymo. Like, whoever thought we'd see self-driving cars outside of the movies, and now where we live, it's a very regular occurrence. Everywhere. They're all over the place. And but here's the thing you have to realize, and will it hit 135 or 91? 121, in our contract specifically say how many pilots have to be in the airplane, for at least our contract says 2. We don't fly any wide body long haul, so I don't know what other people say, but so certainly that's going to have to be negotiated out, which is going to be a major deal. So, if Dassault comes up with a Falcon that, and it would be certainly easier, I think, to get it done under 135 because of the lack of unionization. But here's the reality of the matter: with AI coming down the pipe too, pilots are not the only ones where technology is going to affect their jobs. I mean, AI is going to make certain jobs totally obsolete, and so that's going to be not so much a micro change versus a macro in the whole job market period. AI is going to affect that. So we're all going to have to kind of go with the flow on that. But again, and like the Aircrew news thing said, the union is really has a stronghold on the contract on that, and it's going to be negotiated out. And who knows? I mean,
Okay. Yes, I agree with all that. If you read Hard Landing, you can see what happens often with unions. Well, I mean, first of all, the problem is that, like the article talked about, if everyone has a competitive advantage against you, that's going to be a real problem.
Yeah, well,
and you're not going to. The negotiation is going to be, how much money are we going to get to give up this other pilot? To me, that's the real question. It's not that we're going to stop it and we're never going to never going to have single pilot. To me, I just don't think that's realistic.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong, but I wouldn't bank on it.
It's the same thing with a flight engineer and everything else.
Yeah,
you know,
it's probably going to happen. I don't know when. I think you're right. I think cargo. There'll be some cargo operations that'll do it, and there'll be business jets, like you said, where there aren't unions or anything like that. They'll have a business jet that's designed to do it, and they'll prove it, and it'll slowly happen. But I just don't think there's any way to put a timeline on it.
But if you had to guess, like if you're already a professional pilot, I think things are going to be okay.
Yeah,
but who knows?
If you're on the seniority list of a major airline,
yeah, I think
I would say you're,
because you're going to be accounted for.
Yeah.
In any transition.
Yeah.
Contractually.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, it's come down. The second part of your question, and I mean, I wish we could give you a better answer than that. But the flip side of this is like, think about how long we've been hearing about eVTOLs. Uber taxi, all this stuff, It's like, yeah, we probably have the technology. We can probably do it. But here, it takes a long time in aviation for things to happen. And that's the other flip side, is there may be more interesting pilot jobs in another industry that is not viable yet, but could become viable. Because what if the eVTOL air taxi stuff really does, flourish, and we have the battery technology, and we have all these other things, and people start to use those air taxis more and more and more. Especially because Starlink, you can get it for $65 a month. But what if we now all of a sudden we need one pilot to fly a bunch of those, and then wow, that's actually a pretty good job. I can take off and fly people around my town and then be home every night. And so it's hard to predict everything that's going to happen.
Not hard, it's impossible to.
Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah.
But as far as having a backup plan and utilizing your degree,
yeah.
I mean, you could be an airport manager, or there's a lot of things in aviation you can do that aren't flying an airplane, and kind of flying a desk, I guess, for lack of a better term. But you can also use your time now to learn something different or do something different. Like I got a real estate license early in my professional pilot career. I used a lot and opened a lot of doors for me. And then, I mean, you have enough time as a professional pilot to literally do you could get a whole nother degree if you're really motivated. I mean, like right now I'm enrolled in YouTube University. I don't know if you've heard of it. I'm learning how to draw in CAD in Fusion 360, because you order the same 3D printer, but to make parts for all my hobbies and stuff I like to build and work on, you have to. I mean, the power of learning to draw in CAD. You can create anything, but you do have to learn how to do it, and so that's just a small example of just something that I'm learning, using my time on the road to learn right now. But you could do that with. You could become an accountant. You could do whatever. I mean, whatever else you're interested in. But I think it pays to diversify from aviation, for sure.
Yeah, I think I would focus less on the title of your degree, and I would think about, like, here's a thing in aviation we've talked about on this show a bunch. We have a lack of people, especially in business aviation, that manifest the qualities of a strong leader. We always need great leadership. And there's a lot of different positions where you can be a great leader. So maybe that's something that you have, that you feel like, oh man, you had military experience, or you had something where you feel like a leadership is a strong quality you have. That could be a good thing that you could bring into an FBO or a charter operation. There's a lot of different places. So I think there could be a lot of options for you. But yeah, I would start to think about like what skills you have versus maybe the name of your aviation management degree.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. I mean, we talk about this topic fairly often, and I mean, we can just, like you said, we can speculate all day long. We think it's coming. I don't know. 20. If I said over under single pilot domestic airline flights in 2050, would you take the over or the under on that?
For sure, like for cargo and stuff. I mean, like
a 737 sized airplane on a 121 passenger carrier.
Single pilot or no pilot? What'd you say?
Single pilot.
Oh,
by 2050. Over or under 2050.
On 121 passenger service.
Yeah.
I think that will happen.
I would go under 2050.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know though, but the 737's been around for.
Yeah, they couldn't build a robot that would be able to interact with
an airplane.
Yeah.
It will actually be a 737, just with
probably
the dash no pilot.
Yeah, right. But that's the thing, is that it's all the one other lens that we look through as, and our listener mentioned this earlier, we approach everything with a slant from the United States, right? Because we're both Americans and we have that perspective. Think about all the other places in the world where there is just a dearth of qualified pilots, and they are dying for this kind of stuff because they just don't have the manpower that we do. And so, it probably won't be here first. It'll be somewhere else. And so, I don't know. Lots to think about. That dead horse has been beat. Should we play the wolf noise there? Have we beat the dead horse enough?
Meow.
Yeah.
Wrap it up.
If you don't know what we're talking about, you should go listen to a couple episodes of Kill Tony's. Not Tony, the guy who just wrote in for flight advice.
No.
Different Tony.
Actually, do yourself a favor. Watch it on YouTube.
Yeah, watch it. Yeah, exactly. Okay, that's going to do it for flight advice. If you got questions for us, we'd love to give it a shot and give you an answer. You can shoot us an email, info@215podcast.com, or fill out the anonymous form on our website. And you can include as much or as little information as you like, and we'll do our best to help you out. Thanks to Harvey Watt for their longtime sponsorship of flight advice. Okay. We good?
That's it. I think
got
we've
enough? A good rip for the week.
Pony.
That's right. Anything exciting on your radar this week, Max?
I don't know. It's always something exciting, Dylan.
Good. We'll be excited to get that update from you soon.
Yeah. Stay on the edge of your seat.
On the edge of the. Can we set the over/under on when the new big tires for the Cubs show up? Not earlier than 2050. We'll take the under on that.
Yeah, we'll definitely take the under.
Under June 1st.
It's under 2,050 minutes from right now. That will.
How do they ship those? Do they just put a shipping label on a tire and just throw it in the back of the truck?
Yeah, literally just a shipping label, and they wrap the tape around it, and
off you go.
Send it from Alaska. Dude, if you ever want to see something, well, actually, I don't want to talk about it just yet.
Okay.
We'll shelve that for...
It's a teaser.
Currently
call that a teaser.
Negotiating.
Okay.
Working on something.
Okay. Here's a prediction for you. I think 2025, 2026, we're going to be taking on a lot of new sponsors. I think you're going to detect a common theme with a lot of these sponsors. They may be producing a lot of carbon cup parts.
I don't know.
Possible 100 low lead fuel sponsor.
Yeah, I could use that
on soon.
Simmering Aviation, Deer Valley Airport.
There's a freebie. Yeah, we're gonna have to send it to. You said you ran into somebody at Deer Valley that you did recognize you.
Yeah. One of our listeners from. Oh, I forgot to tell you about this. The final flight of the Moose.
Oh,
so the guy that bought the Moose a couple months ago, it's been in my hangar awaiting pickup, and so they finally came to get it, and I'm like, guys, this is a radial engine. It's already temperamental, and now you let it sit for 2 months. It does not like to sit, and so I get in the thing to try and show the guy who's picking it up, which is not the buyer, somebody else. I'm trying to show him how to start it. But the problem is things are you have to adjust to quicker than you can verbalize it.
Yeah, right.
So we go, he caches the air bottle, right? So I'm like, so I drag the scuba tank out, recharge the airplane. If you don't know, uses compressed air to start. So I recharge the air bottle, and now it's flooded, dude. I open the intake drain. There's fuel pissing out everywhere. And I'm just like, dude. And so he kills another air bottle, and so I hook it up. I'm like, I don't know how much air is left. So it charges it to 400 PSI, and you need 750. So I pull the extreme backup, the carbon fiber bottle that I carry in the airplane. I'm like, I've never used this, but here we go. So I charge it back up, and I'm like, all right, I'll sit in the seat and I'll start it, and I'll get it going and idle, and then I'll we'll have the parking brake set and make sure it's good, and then I'll set it to idle, and I'll slide out the door and you slide over and then get out of here. So I get it started in a cloud of smoke and the whole thing.
Just 9 hands moving over.
And
if
then
you've never seen this,
he takes
treat.
off. So I got a video of it taking off. I don't know, you can post it or whatever if you want, but it was she didn't want to go. She didn't want to go leave her home. That she's the only home she's known, but they made it out safe. And so
James used a term called.
So anyway, that day before while I'm charging the air system up or whatever, and some guy drives up. He goes, "What kind of airplane is that?" He goes, "I said a Murphy Moose." He goes, "Oh, the Moose. Are you Max from the 21.5 show?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I rode into the show. I'm the flight instructor at Deer Valley, remember?" And so he's like, "I just finished flying." So it was kind of cool. He came up and shook my hand.
That's awesome.
Recognized the plane.
You scared him away from radial engines for forever, probably. You're covered in oil and compressed air.
Well, dude, I tell you, coming out today with the Cub, my wife was like, "This is so much easier." Like I just basically throw the thing out of the hangar, hop in it, no pulling the prop through, and
I know
all this
running this oil sump at the end,
and pumps and air valves and But dude, I love that stuff. It was fun, but I'm good now.
James used the term trauma bonding last episode, and like if our listeners didn't listen to some of the earlier episodes where Max tells the stories of like how he like had to transport this when he bought the airplane in this trailer through the middle of the night and kept getting blowouts on a freeway, and like this is an incredible story. Like, what were you up for like 36 hours in a row, like driving down?
It was like hallucinating. I thought it was snowing. It was not snowing. My wife was.
So I can see why it'd be hard to go. You guys were through a lot.
But it's one of those things. Just like we said, the common theme is things you work hard for, you really learn to appreciate and are proud of. And so I was proud of it, and it was awesome. And
now you have an electric starter on a Lycoming engine.
Now
that
I got
just
this little
starts
airplane that's like simple, and I just fly around with the window open, and just it's a good time.
Listen to the Backstreet Boys.
Yeah,
good lesson.
What a deal.
It's good. We've come full circle. All good. All right. Well, that is going to do it for the 21.5 show. Thanks so much to all of our sponsors who support the show: Tim Pope, Advanced Aircrew Academy, Harvey Watt, Varus Jet Sales, the AirComp Calculator, our buddies at the Amigo Aerotow. Have you used the Aerotow on the Cub yet?
the Aerotow, well, the Aerotow is going to be a little bit of overkill on the Cub. But I do have some plans for the Aerotow.
Oh, big announcement coming soon.
Another airplane that I'm
why not add a fourth to the mix?
Involved in, much to my chagrin.
Perfect.
Perfect. Yeah, why not?
Why would you not? I love it. Okay. Aerotow, of course, another sponsor. James O'Neill. There's so many folks that help us out. We really appreciate all of their help. ProPilotWorld.com. Another great resource for you. All right. That's going to do it, Max. Until next time, let's remind our listeners how important it is to keep in mind that
flexibility is the key to air power.
That's it.
Next time.
Adios.
Yeah.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.